Good morning, everyone. So, before we get started with today's video, I got to give a big thank you to the Cowboy of Entertainment. And for anybody that wants to look up movie reviews, video game reviews, even small product, the Cowboy of Entertainment does a lot of reviews. So, look him up, check out his channel. You never know what you'll find. So, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So, Dodgeman-Mechanics, that's the name of my channel. And anyone that's new here, hey, if you like what you see, subscribe. Basically, I'm going to be going over common things, stuff to be prepared for when you're out on the road, that kind of thing. And mainly, it'll be about used vehicles most of the time. Because me, I never buy new vehicles. I mainly work on my own. I was taught at a younger age, especially in school. My grandfather was a mechanic, my other grandfather was a mechanic, and I kind of just fell into it too. And kind of ended up having a knack for it. So, the other reason I made this channel is pretty much to help out anyone that's in need. Regardless if you don't know anything about mechanics, you can always pick up, certain knowledge, or if you think that you're in a very big trouble or in a big bind with your car, a lot of people, when the engine light comes out and just appears out of nowhere, certain people do tend to freak out. And that's a normal thing, especially with anyone that doesn't know anything about cars. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes it's not that big of a deal that a lot of people end up making it out to be, and especially with shady mechanics that tend to just string you along with certain things. But over the years, going into numerous parts stores, I mainly go into AutoZone, O'Reilly's. I've been in Napa. Napa's a pretty good store too, and they also have Bumper to Bumper. I mean, there's a lot of places you can get parts. Rock Auto is a good place to get parts. It's an online deal. You can order, you get parts cheaper. Sometimes the quality isn't as good, but hey, you can only work with what you have, especially if you're on a budget, and that's okay too. So, we'll go over a little bit more of that later on down the line, but long story short, that's basically why I made this channel. I've seen a lot of people have problems over the years, and I kind of want to make a little bit of difference, whether a couple people look at these videos or not. It's never too late to pick up on a couple tips, especially if you're on the road and traveling a lot, stuff like that. So, we'll go over these tools, and hey, you don't even have to buy I've got a kit I'm going to show too, which I bought it whenever it was on sale I think it was maybe AutoZone, or it was either AutoZone or O'Reilly's. I think it was AutoZone. But they had a sale, and it was 35 bucks for this wrench set, or not wrench but ratchets. And it's got a lot of cool looking sockets. It's got metric, it has standard, you know, it's a pretty good set, and for 35 bucks, can't beat it. So, let's go ahead and go over these tools. So, first off, we have this little gadget here, and this is a tire pressure checker. And this tells you exactly how much pressure is in your tire. These you can buy at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. I think this one is from O'Reilly's, but they're pretty cheap. I think they're like $1.99, $2, maybe even cheaper. But I keep this one in my car, and it's so small. You know, it fits in the glove box too, but it's always good to have your own little pressure checker. And as small as this is, it's pretty convenient. So that's probably one of the first things I'd pick up, and especially with these new cars these days, you know they have those sensors in your tire, and that yellow light will come on. It's not an engine light, it's your tire light, which they tell you that they're unbalanced. So it's always good to have this thing to check your tire pressure. Always good for that. So I'm gonna skip over to here, and we're gonna look at this ratchet set. So like I said, this has the small ratchet and the 3/8 drive ratchet, and that's pretty much all you need for common problems. Like, say you need a coil pack removed, and for those of you that don't know what a coil pack is, that'll be in a different video, but it's pretty simple to change out. And if you have this kit, yes, you can easily do it with ease. But this kit can also remove spark plugs from your motor. This little kit comes with your extension. Now, certain cars you may need a longer extension because a lot of them are in the valve covers. And again, this will be another video I'll go over with you. But it also has this special socket that's made just for spark plugs. 5/8 on the size, and how it's designed here, it's made to where spark plugs will fit right in that hole. And once you get it out, it also has a magnet in the inside of it to where you can pull the spark plug completely out. So this little kit I bought for $35, but now it was on sale. So sometimes O'Reilly's and AutoZone, they will have sales, especially on like small kits to make room for newer kits that may even have special tools. But for the price of this kit, that was a steal. And it's good to look out for deals, especially whenever they're that cheap. But nice little kit. It's not too big neither. I mean, it fits right in the back of my car, and it stays in the back. It doesn't get in the way. This is the Duralast brand, and the way they do it with Duralast is if you break the ratchet, you can always take it back to AutoZone and they'll replace it for free. So that's another. I think there's other ratchets and different brands too that also do that, but so far I would stick with Duralast. And I'll go over that in another video too, because certain brands hold up a lot better than others. But Duralast I've used since day one of working on all my stuff, and I think I may have broke only one ratchet, and it was because I was putting a lot of torque on trying to break this big bolt loose, and I should have just got a bigger ratchet. So be on the lookout for that, because that's a steal. Okay, so the other thing we're going to go over is the code reader. Now, I bought this code reader at Walmart, and that's where I do buy a lot of stuff like this, especially the next kit I'm going to show you. But this here scan tool, it'll scan any code. It will read just about any car. If, like, I've got a 2011 Ford Fusion, and it's not just my car too. It's like my brother-in-law's truck. He has a 2011 Ford F-150, and some of these scanners will not read them nowadays in the stores. But this scanner here it will read the code with no problems. And this scanner's pretty old. They stopped selling these in probably 2014, maybe 2013, but they do still sell these on eBay, and you can get them for a decent price. I think the cheapest one I've seen has been maybe 20, 25 bucks. Some even 15. It just depends. You may even look on Amazon, but I mean, I haven't had to buy one of these in years. I do have a higher tech one too, but I think it's buried somewhere in my toolbox in my truck. So this one, pretty cheap. It gets the job done, and it pulls your codes, and I'll even go over codes with you. That'll be a different video too. So this is good to have. It stays in my glove box most of the time, but there's been some cases, especially at work, when people have a problem and they're like, hey, do you have a scan tool? I'm like, who told you I had a scan tool? Tyler said you did, and I said, yep, he knows because I'm always prepared. So, yeah, this scanner helps out a lot. And on top of that, you don't have to go to O'Reilly's or AutoZone to scan your tool or your card and go through all that when you can do it right then and there. So that's a good little tool to have. Definitely worth it, and especially cheap. It's very cheap. So, okay. So now we will go to the next tool. Now this I bought this one I bought at Walmart too. Now Walmart has a variety of these, and they have one that also has, I think, a extra battery charger, but I think I've only used this kit once. It still looks brand new. It comes with jumper cables just in case. I think I've only used them once. They still look shiny, brand new, but I always keep this in the back of my car too. Comes with a little padding if you need to do some work then and there on the road, and where you don't want to get your pants dirty or anything like that. I've never opened this, but you never know when you might need it, especially if you're stuck somewhere and you have to work on it. And then it also comes with a set of gloves, a light, stuff like this. This is stuff I haven't even used. Yes. I never even put the battery in it. But these little kits are good. Now, the kit that I was looking at the other day, it had like a charger for in case your battery is dead in your car and you need to jump it. I didn't get that kit simply because I don't like the idea of a fully powered battery sitting in the back of my car, because you never know how some of these products are going to be. But I would rather go the safest route and just stick to jumper cables and just asking somebody to jump my car, just because you never know how some of them devices are. I may buy it later on down the line and give a review on it, but for now, we'll just stick to the basics. It's more of a safety thing more than anything to me. So, the next thing and the last thing we'll go over is this little pack here. Now, my old lady got me this backpack, and this is where I used it to keep extra fuses, stuff like that. if I need to change out a fuse or anything like that, it's there. And then mainly, I use it to keep my pump safe. Now, this pump, I don't know if they still sell it, but they do sell these pumps at Walmart too. This is pretty much a air pump, and it will air up your tires. It'll air up a pretty big sized tire depending on how much air you need. Even my truck's tires, it will do that. But mainly, I keep this in my car. My truck has a even bigger pump because of the size of the truck. But this one does pretty well. It does have a problem with the gauge sometimes when it's reading tire pressure, but this will get the job done. It has a very long wire to where you can take it all around the car and air up all 4 tires. I keep it sealed in this so it doesn't get dirty, and it even has like stuff for like a basketball. Yeah, it has all that stuff. But this one, I've used it a lot. And sometimes it's just pumping up a couple pounds, and then I reset my tires and then the light goes away. But this is a very handy pump, and I feel that everyone should have one of these in their car. Because if you get stranded and you end up just needing to air up your tire, you can do it then and there while your car is still running. And it saves you a trip from going to, any gas station to their air pump when you have an air pump right there with you. So, yes, this is definitely one to pick up. You can get these at Walmart. You can probably order these Amazon or even eBay, but your cheapest bet would probably be Walmart. Sometimes you can find them used, but I don't recommend buying used unless you're okay with it. But buy new and keep it in your car. Very, very important and very, very handy. My old lady's used it, I think. Yeah, even my mother-in-law used hers. I got her one for Christmas, and she ended up using it too. So these are very handy. And then I also keep a couple other parts in here, like a screwdriver, stuff like that. I just keep it there on the side. And certain little parts that I have for my car, I keep in there. It's just basic stuff. That was a extra pulley that came in a kit that I didn't have to use. That's a part for my glove box. But anyways, that's pretty much what I use this backpack for. Just extra storage space for different variety of parts. Always good to be prepared, and occasionally even these zip ties. Zip ties, they come in handy a lot, especially on a day when you hit a big bump, or say you hit a rock, a very big rock, or you run into a branch and something yanks your bumper and your bumper just falls off your car. These zip ties are pretty strong. They're resilient. They'll hold just about anything. So you always want to keep a set of zip ties too. So I think that covers just about all the main stuff I pretty much keep in my car. Now, I would recommend jumping cables, the scan tool, the air tool, and the tire pressure checker. The wrenches and stuff, that's if you want to. It doesn't hurt. But that's for anyone that wants to get, basic knowledge and spark plugs, what they do, changing spark plugs, changing coil packs, or even certain cars have certain things. But you'll see a lot of my Fusion and a lot of my Dodge truck, and you'll know the difference between a car, or specifically a vehicle with coil packs, and a vehicle that has a distributor. They're different and they run differently. Well, they run the same, but they run different. It's a That's a whole different video. So, guys, I think that's gonna cover it. I want to thank everyone for subscribing, and hey, we will go over a lot on this channel, and you'll want to be on the lookout because I will be pulling my transmission out of my truck, and I'll show you all the basic tools you'll need, what to do, what not to do, what parts to get, that kind of thing. And that's for the second gen Dodges. You'll see a lot of videos about second gen Dodge. So I think that covers just about everything. Want to thank everyone for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and I hope to see you back here. And if you got any questions or concerns when it comes to vehicles, hey, leave a comment. I'll answer it to the best of my abilities. I'm not, like I said, I am not the best mechanic around, but I do know these days mechanics and cars, they're changing. I know cars are starting to come out of the factory now with turbos, and after even you get a new turbo for it, you can't just slap the turbo on it and run with it. There's certain things that people aren't able to do these days, and that's one of the reasons I don't want to buy anything new, because certain stuff you're not going to be able to do for that car. There's certain years, certain makes and models, and these newer cars are getting to the point now where you can't even just take a motor out of it and put it in and run with it without reprogramming stuff. My old lady's car, it's a good 4-cylinder Honda. It's a 2019, and we had to have the turbo replaced on it. And the turbo, you can't buy it at AutoZone or O'Reilly's. You have to go to the dealer. The turbo, I think, is like maybe $1,200. I don't remember exact price, but when it was all said and done, it was about $2,000 to have all that done, and that was the turbo and the maintenance and labor and all. Luckily, it was still under warranty, so we didn't have to pay that. But that's another thing to think about with these newer cars when you go and buy them, because you never know what you're going to have to deal with. Certain cars, even new, sometimes the turbo even goes out a lot quicker than that. But it does depend on the driver, the way you drive your car. And really, that's with anything that you drive. If you drive like a maniac, or if you're really just gunning it every time, everywhere you go, over time your vehicle will start to develop issues. But knowing your vehicle, knowing how it drives, that can help a vehicle a lot. It can help it survive a very long time. Mitsubishi's Eclipse, probably one of the most popular cars from the 90s, and worked its way up to the 2000s, and by the time they changed it, and I think 2006, I think it's the mid-gen model is the one I'm referring to in that movie, Too Fast, Too Furious, that kind of Eclipse. But I had one of those that was a 5-speed manual, and that car had over 300,000 miles on it. Now, granted, it never got hot or nothing like that, but I did take the motor apart. I gave it a new head gasket, pretty much the whole 100 yards, new timing belts, all that good stuff. And you'd have never thought the way that car ran that it had over 300,000 miles. Mitsubishi, they make very good motors, and it's not a hallucination or anything like that. It's a true fact. Now, they never did figure out the automatic transmissions in those Eclipses, but the 5-speed manuals, yes, unless you were just really trying to kill that car, they last a long time. It still had the original clutch in it, I believe, too. I bought that car from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and that car has been through hell. Now, unfortunately, that car is in the scrapyard now. And Clayton, if you're watching this video, it's still your fault because I sold it to you and you hydroplaned it off the road. So I don't think I'll ever forgive you for that. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it happened. That's life. But it was a shame, though. That was a pretty good car. That was a car that I put a ton of work into. But guys, I think that's going to do it. And I do have a tendency to rattle on and talk too. When it comes to mechanics, you better believe I've got a lot of stories. And it's not even, once I get to talking about mechanics, sometimes I'll have to really try and stop myself from talking because I will talk a lot about mechanics. But guys, I'm going to get out of here. If you have any questions or anything, hey, leave a comment. And like I said, I'm not the best mechanic, but I will do everything I can to help you and hopefully answer your questions and send you in the right direction. And I know how that feels. Alright, so before I end this video, I will share one more story with you. And it is about that car that I was talking about, the Eclipse. So, I ended up changing the battery out of it and put a brand new battery in it. So, this car, I've replaced the alternator, all that good stuff, pretty much all new parts. And the battery, it was time for a change. I've had it for 5 years. And I went on and bought a new one from AutoZone. Brand new battery right off the rack. And after driving my car for the second day, one morning, it did not want to start. It wouldn't start because it didn't have enough juice in it. So I drove my truck that morning and I just took the battery out of my car and brought it up there and had it charged and let it charge through the day, tested the battery, and it passed inspection. But there was one thing I did notice on the terminal of the battery is that it had a little liquid substance on top of it. So pretty much I took it to AutoZone and they tested it, and this guy was telling me that the battery was fine, that my car had an issue and something in the car was draining the battery. And I've never had that problem in my car during the time I've had it. The wires are usually clean and I don't add anything extra to it. So what ended up happening is I ended up bypassing that guy and I talked to this manager. And I said, this is a new battery. It has a warranty. Let's go ahead and warranty it out. Because that's what these warranties are for. And that guy, what it was he didn't want to warranty out the battery. So sometimes you do have to skip around in the store. And when someone isn't helping you to the best of their abilities, when they simply could just do that, sometimes you have to just look elsewhere and go to someone that's higher up and tell them what's going on, because something that simple that could have sent someone to search for something that wasn't even there, which in that case it was. So she warranty out the battery for me, and I changed it, put it in there. A whole week, nothing. It ended up being the battery terminal. It was leaking at the top where, yes, it passed inspection and it was a good battery, but while it was sitting, especially at night, it would just slowly drain because it wasn't retaining the electricity in the battery. So, pretty much, that guy was wrong and I was right. And that's all it takes. So, when someone says, well, you have an electrical issue and your car is draining your battery, don't assume that that's it. Now, if you have something like amps and stuff like that, that I could see, because that does have an effect on your battery, especially when your car's running and it's trying to recharge the battery. But in this case, no, that wasn't the case. It was just a bad battery, fresh off of the shelf, and sometimes that happens. So be on the lookout for stuff like that, because that can happen. You can get a brand new part off of the shelf and it can be a bad part. So that guy, I think ever since that happened, because after that week of that problem, I went on and I told them that that's pretty much what it was. I didn't have any issues, and I don't even think that guy wants to talk to me no more, but we're human. We're not perfect, and everybody makes mistakes, and it's okay to make mistakes. But it's what we do after we make those mistakes that define how we go about, bettering ourselves. And hey, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Sometimes you have to learn by listening, observing, and don't have a mindset to where you think you know everything, because there's always going to be somebody out there that knows more than you, that has more experience than you, and that's just life. I mean, there are certain things that I'm good at that someone else isn't good at. And there's certain things that people are good at that you won't be good at. So, pretty much, it happens. And certain people are just jerks in them stores too. But it's always good to, know a certain store. I would say go to a certain store and get to know some of the people to help you out. You never know. Spark a little bit of conversation, and sometimes that helps out too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I spent a lot of time in AutoZone, and I've pretty much had a lot of people in there that knew me, and sometimes I even helped them out when, they have different customers and they're short-handed. Now, granted, I didn't do any checkouts or nothing like that, but I would go out there and find the parts that they need, look up vehicles and, what they have, stuff like that. But, yeah, I do. I've probably spent about an hour in AutoZone just talking. And, hell, I'm still talking now. So, yeah, it's pretty bad whenever you bring up mechanics. But anyways, guys, really, I am going to end the video here. And like I said, if you got any questions, hey, leave a comment. And I'll answer it to the best of my ability. But, guys, thank you for watching. And if you like the content, please subscribe and stay tuned, because I will start to do a lot more of these videos. The next video, I'll probably go over removing spark plugs. Well, actually, I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to show you the difference between spark plugs and, well, no, let me rephrase that. I'm going to show you the difference between coil packs and a distributor. That's pretty much what I'm going to show you next. So that'll be in the next video, and I'll show you how this kit works and how handy it is to change out simple things, that kind of thing. Because a lot of times the main thing that people end up encountering are cylinder misfire codes, and a lot of people are intimidated by that, and you should be intimidated by it, because I won't lie to you, certain cars do have certain flaws. Certain cars that have spark plugs can be a fatal flaw. Mainly, which I'm not, well, hell, yes, I'm dogging Ford. Yes, I drive a Ford, and yes, I'm dogging Ford. Ford has had a bad problem with spark plugs seizing up in their block. Or their head, yeah, in the heads that they have. Certain makes and models and certain cars, which that can happen to any car. But, geez, I keep talking. All right, I've got to stop. So I'm gonna cut the video here because I'll keep rambling about all this stuff. So, okay, guys, I'm gonna make this short. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode. And guys, if you like the content, subscribe. So, Dodgeman, yes, you can call me Dodgeman, or you can call me by my actual name, Eric. Either one, Eric or Dodgeman. Go ahead and call me Dodgeman, though. I like the sound of that. All right, guys, I'm out.